All right, let's move on to this story now because residents are calling on the government to intervene in what they describe as financial exploitation by local spaza shops. They claim retailers are charging excessive card transaction fees, in some cases up to 5 rand per purchase. Now we're joined in studio by our very own Ziniko Mhlaba, who joins us on this story. Ziniko, this is an interesting one. How are residents able to tell? How are they able to know that so much has actually been charged? And has this been uncovered over time, and how long exactly?
So according to the information we got initially, before we even went to Soweto this morning, we got information that, these local retail spaza shops, mostly of those spaza shops are foreign owned. And they are saying that, well, they seem to be having differences when it comes to being charged for items at their own local spaza shop in comparison to what major retail shops charge them in nearby complexes such as malls and other, main established shopping centers. So we went there this morning with my colleague, and when we got there, the first thing we did was to test and verify whether those allegations are true or not. And what we found actually confirmed the allegations made, because I went inside one of those local spaza shops to purchase a bottle of water. And upon arriving there, before even we went in with the camera, I inquired, I need this bottle of water. How much does it cost? And I was told that, well, the standard price is 10 rands. Okay. So I took the bottle, went to the counter to pay, and then I was told that, well, since you'll be using a card, we're going to charge you extra. And that extra fee was 2 rands. So I ended up paying 12 rands instead of the standard 10 rands. Wow. So that was the first attempt. The second attempt at a different local spaza shop, the same thing, the same trend happened. Wow. And I was charged an extra for buying a loaf of bread using, my card. So that was the conversation. And then we did really reach out to the local spaza shops association, and they refused. But when I challenged the people who were selling me those stocks in terms of why are you charging me 2 rands now? Because the bank is going to charge me either way because I'm using a card. They said, well, the company, these are the rules of the company. I said, which company? They said, no, the standard company. I'm like, okay, fine, but which company? Do you have an association, or can you take me to your boss? And they could not do that. So we did really confirm what the people were saying. But, for the sake of the viewers, let's take a listen to the voices themselves, the people who are making these allegations in terms of what is it that they have to deal with on a daily basis.
I keep on ever affect her because I would withdraw 100 rand about charge 10 rand. That particular 10 rand was at low. So it's more like extortion. 10 100 rand about charge 10 rand. Banka leona is at low charge. So if you are baka fukuja di charges chichabona di too high.
Well, I can't have a lebele chitabaye. Kibona ili cost kabuyona because ariboni taba ya gore ha o patala mo shopong o tshabile o ya go shopong e loreng maybe yona e regulatilwe e mo molaong e a tseba gore e swantitse e ska o charge o feta tekano eo go botlhokwa ka so re tsena mo shopong re tshaba o ya go re riputsa gore ko e re yang gona re tla be re ya because of renamela di taxi.
Ziniko, spaza shops used to be your local community shopping center, effectively, or shopping place where you'd get things perhaps for a little bit cheaper. They weren't necessarily branded names in some instances, but you could rely on that. But now that seems to ultimately have changed. Do we understand the reasoning why? And I know you said you spoke to the spaza shop owners themselves, local associations not offering any kind of reasoning. But what is it that the residents are saying is the reason that they're given?
So the reason they're given, firstly, they are told that, well, for you, they're saying that the reason why we are charging you this amount of money, number one is the fact that we are conveniencing you now because you don't need to take a taxi to go to a local mall or to go to town, whether if you're in Soweto to Johannesburg or what. But so we're charging you for that. But also we're charging you, for using our card payment system. And that's when now the lack of awareness from the side of the residents comes to the fore. Because if you know that whenever you're paying for a card, the bank that you are using is going to charge you. So the reason tabled to them by the spaza shop owners is not a valid reason. And of course, we did try to reach out to the authorities who are responsible for handling those matters, and they confirmed to us at about 11 o'clock that actually those such payments or such prices are illegal. Therefore, consumers must be able to lodge a complaint first to the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman, or they can engage with their local leadership, whether it's councillors or local council such as the City of Johannesburg in this case, to really expose those tendencies. So indeed, Arabile, it's a worrying issue, but also there's that issue of convenience. As I said, many of those communities in Brand Fisherville are unemployed. They can't afford to use 20 rands to go to a local mall to withdraw cash. So they say, well, we understand that this is costing us, but we'd rather lose this amount of money for us to get the money that we need 100%. For cash payments.
Yeah, and we don't know if these Paza shops are then registered or anything of the sort, right? Because, of course, there's been this big registration drive that has been driven by government because of not just issues like this, but certainly food, health issues as well.
So the two Paza shops we literally interviewed, they did confirm to us. Actually, they were very worried when we showed up with their cameras, thinking that we were there for that reason, to check whether they've completed the registration requirements or not. They did confirm off camera that we're still working on that, so we're not registered yet. I said, okay, fine, but that's not the reason why we're here today. We're here to engage about the issue of payment and why engaging people. So that's another issue that I think local authorities should really look into, and the impact of not having these entities not registered. Because one of the things that needs to be looked at, according to the Ombuds, is the issue of the payment system. The Ombud was saying that, well, as much as we've been looking at them on issues of the quality of food and the food items they sell, they're saying that, well, the regulations go beyond that to an extent of regulating the prices. One thing that these entities must do, according to the Ombuds, when you are labeling, the products they're selling on the shelf, people must pay the amount advertised on the shelves. So you can't tell me once I get to you on the counter that actually, well, you see there's 10 rands, they're marked that this cold drink is going to cost you 10 rands. Then when you get to them, they say, okay, fine, because you're using a card, it's a 2 rands. So that's not illegal, that's not allowed according to the Goods and Services Ombudsman here in South Africa.
Yeah. Zinikwa, thank you so much for uncovering this one. Very interesting story indeed, and hopefully greater awareness necessary when it comes to this story, and knowing what you actually can do in these situations. Indeed, trying to speak to the Consumer Goods Council, the Ombudsman as well in this particular case can certainly be helpful. Zinikwa Mhlaba covering that story for us out of Soweto.